It's 8:05 as I'll be reading this. It's 8:06 now. That means I'll stop that camera at 8:16. Okay, I'll continue listening. Yeah. Okay, I fixed up the problem here. So, yeah. Alright, I'll continue here. This is the Imam doing the sermon. Alright. They are our atonement, our scapegoats, and our sacrificial lambs, our appropriation for sins, like they mistakenly believe Jesus, son of Mary, to be. The difference being that instead of punishing one person, Allah punishes countless numbers of Jews and Christians in the place of us. Jews and Christians carry the stain of our sin because Allah is merciful to us and to us only. It was Allah who only made it appear that Jesus, son of Mary, went to the cross to create damnation for Christians when they obeyed Quran 568 about standing firm upon the Injil, the New Testament. Why? Because Allah loves us, for we obey and submit totally to Him and Him only. Allah and Him only. Allah made it appear that Jesus went to the cross to condemn a Jew and Christian in advance when they would fall for the best of planners, our Allah. We were created weak and imperfect, and Allah knew this. If Allah sees a repentant human, it is just for Allah to say, oh yeah, if Allah sees a repentant human, is it just for Allah to say, no, I must punish Jews and Christians in His place for Him to enter Jannah? The answer is yes. It is just that the Jews and Christians go into the fire and fall for the most compassionate plans to release our guilt. Before we submit to Allah fully, to say that Jews and Christians will be condemned to hell to save us, guilty believers, may sound harsh, but Allah knows best, is most wise, even if we don't understand Allah. It is merciful for Allah, knowing our weaknesses and not ignoring repentance and require the eternal condemnation of Jews and Christians for us. It is merciful for Allah to send the people of the book to hell. Is it not more merciful that Allah simply forgives sin without this brutality and discrimination against people of a faith different than our own? The answer is no. For one only look at what nature reveals. In order to have life, you first have to have death to feed life. In order to know hot, you must first know what cold is. Jews and Christians, apes and pigs, will let us know what hot is. Oh, brothers and sisters, it appears that Muhammad theory might fly in the face of what a non-Muslim may view their version of what God's qualities of justice and mercy are, since the damnation of Jews and Christians in the place of us is neither just nor merciful to them, but Allah, again, is the most wise, most knowing. Lastly, seeing that Allah accepts the death of Jews and Christians, individuals who are far from being sinless, as a ransom for us, then what possible objection could there be against the sinless and holy Son of God willfully dying on behalf of sinners in order to satisfy the justice of Allah? One might think, right, one might think. But remember, it was only made to appear that Jesus would. We need that balance, brothers and sisters. We need the cold and the hot. We need Allah to be, as Allah says, the best of deceivers. We need winners and losers. We, praise be to Allah, will be the winners. Lights dim. When the lights come on, all the Muslims are bowed down in the direction of the wall that has the pulpit. Moving the audience again. Lights dim. When the lights come on, the scene begins in the living room of Drew and his wife Rachel. Drew is pacing while Rachel fidgets. There's a knock on the door. Drew says, "Come in." Jonathan enters. Drew, "How are you doing?" Jonathan says, "I'm actually doing pretty good. Have you heard the news?" Rachel says, "Possibly." Jonathan says, "The videotape stuff is getting weirder. There is far more of it than they first imagined. A guy hooked up a strip of it, and they think they now know what it's all saying, including what was unleashed here in Sparks." Rachel, "What is it? What's it say? What's it say?" Jonathan says, "Another repeating message, but it's in English now." And Drew says, and it's saying, "Messages from the edge of Earth are coming." Drew turns on the TV. The lights dim on the TVs, and as the TVs become activated, the man, no longer wearing a leather jacket, but close to the camera, to the point where his whole face fills the screen is seen. Drew, Rachel, and Jonathan have puzzled looks on their face as they stare out toward the audience. The man says with a stare, what can be seen as foreboding, "Are coming. Messages from the edge of Earth are coming. Messages from the edge of Earth are coming. Messages from the edge of Earth are coming." Then fade to black. End of Act 1. Act 2. Starts. TV screens come on in the afternoon. Come on in the auditorium. On it, it shows reporter Marcia Muhammad. Marcia Muhammad. Talking, but silently, as music accompanies the following video clips. The first clip is that of the coastal highway of California's Highway 1. In the video, there are scenes of videotape unraveled on the side of the road. People are seen picking it up and examining it. There is a cut to with someone cutting and scotch taping part of it into an old VHS tape. The next part of the video shows the man who was saying messages from the edge of Earth are coming, reading something out onto a video camera. There is then a scene of an open laptop with a man reading something onto YouTube-like sites. From there, a collage of him is seen in different ages, mostly reading things. So, some he's young, some he's middle-aged, some he's fat, some he's skinny. The video clips morph to the point where the TV screens in the auditorium take on a life of their own, as if they are no longer showing what is on the laptop, but now like a TV show, as scenes of life quickly pass along with the music. He's young, he's older, back to young again, as it comes in random fashion. He's seen briefly kissing a girl and being with others. The sign YouTube and other video posting places on the of the time flashes on the TV sets in the auditorium. It all then goes to black. Words come on TV screens of the auditorium saying, 1 month after the video has been launched onto the coastal highway. When the TVs fade to black, a light comes on reporter Marcia Muhammad, dressed in black, in a black hijab that seems to be seems to be covering more of her face than normal. She is no longer wearing makeup, yet still is very attractive. And this is what she says. Reporter Marsha Muhammad. Well, it's been 1 month to the day that we discovered video on the side of the road of California's coastal highway. There was miles of it, and some people actually picked it up and played it on their VCRs, taking some of it and downloading it to YouTube-like sites. Hundreds of videos, ranging in length from seconds to nearly 20 minutes at most, were seen on the internet. There was confusion at times, since the man's science fiction writings at times blurred with his video diary, to the point some thought it was he was an alien from another star system, or a creepy walk-in from another time dimension, and not the apparent frustrated narcissistic actor who got off into science, philosophy, and heavily into Bible prophecy, never making a name for himself in any field that he chose. From what has come in, it's quite apparent that to all now that the man's name is Brian Aaron, which proved a great relief to one of our very pious imams who saw him as the infamous Niles Neville of YouTube fame before hater videos were taken down off the internet a few months ago. This Brian Aaron gave us quite a ride this past month. For a lot of people read into what was being downloaded and revealed onto the net due to the novelty possibly being a key factor. Some saw it as art from Allah, since all of it was being revealed on the internet. Some saw. Oh, you know something? I've got to stop this here. Okay, I'll go back a little bit here. Yeah. I don't know what part this, but I'll continue here. Okay. All right. From what it comes... Continuation here. Sorry about it. I'm going to go back a bit here. Okay. Marsha Muhammad, reporter, talking here. Okay. From what has come in, it's quite apparent to all now that the man's name is Brian Aaron, which proved a great relief to one of our very pious imams who saw him as the... I'm going to change it to notorious. Not infamous, but notorious. Notorious. I don't like infamous. I'll change it to notorious. Notorious. That's it. Yeah. Yeah. You just saw a little change here. Okay. Saw him as the notorious Niles Neville of YouTube fame before hater videos were taken down off the internet a few months ago. This Brian Aaron gave us quite a ride this past month. For a lot of people read into what was being downloaded and revealed onto the net due to the novelty possibly being a key factor. Some saw it as art from Allah, since all of what was being revealed on the internet was truly random video of the highest order that no one could have planned for, including the one who unraveled it onto the coastal highway. Since this Mr. Aaron read the New Testament that many take to be the Injil, well, read it onto video, and apparently unraveled it onto the coastal highway as well, the stuff that survived has been collected off the net, and people who are into the sovereignty of Allah are debating on whether to make a Book of Brian with it, believing that part of which survived is the part that Allah wants us to pay attention to. That it could be the mysterious and baffling Injil the Holy Quran speaks of in its Surah 568, that commands Christians to not only stand firm upon, but in Quran 547 tells Christians to judge therein of the Quran. Debate rages which part survived the most, the writings of Paul or the four Gospels? If it is true that Allah has picked out the parts of all that unraveled video all at once as the Injil, many in Islam believe what survives of the New Testament Aaron read onto the video, having Jesus dying on the cross for sins and saying things like, if you've seen me, you've seen the Father, or if I be lifted up, I shall draw all men unto me, or John 1:1 about the word Jesus with God and being God. Well, they believe such things will be absent, and that's the way Allah originally intended his book given to Isa to be. Of course, we won't know for sure until more of it comes in. If there is going to be a greatly edited version of the New Testament to the way Allah wants it, it will have some of the book of Job added to it. For some of the book of Job survived the unraveling, as was seen in internet video. Anyway, from those who actually want to continue downloading it onto YouTube sites, only time will tell what comes from it. Will they download it? We shall see. We can only find it if we type into our web browsers messages from the edge of earth, and you, with the tape, continue to call it messages from the edge of earth in your video tags and titles when you download it to the net. Anyway, in conclusion, although Mr. Aaron seems to be into Bible prophecy and read the book of Revelation, hardly any of the videotape he read of the book of Revelation onto survived. That might tell the religious something who have their faith still strong in the Injil we have today. One thing is for certain, the man, Brian Aaron, that the miles of unraveled videotape feature mostly, is still at large. But the police feel they have a lead and are putting him through questioning. We will report anything that might develop and is of interest. Oh, and one more thing. Marcia Muhammad pulls out a empty video spool that once held videotape. Believe it or not, this is the spool that contained the video that the book of Revelation was on. How do I know? Well, like all the spools, that were discovered thus far, it has writing on the bottom of it. The guy who spliced and downloaded Aaron reported the book of Revelation in a few short clips we have, sold this empty video spool to me. You don't want to know how much I bought it for, especially being that Aaron seems to just be a frustrated Christian narcissist now. Someone becoming animated says, this is just in. Well, you aren't going to believe this, folks, but more unraveled video tape has been discovered on the coastal highway. It's a new unraveling. We're not sure it's the work of Mr. Aaron or the result of a copycat. And get this, as one Mohammed Pedro Martinez has called into one of our affiliates in California, says he will soon be downloading 2 videos each of Aaron onto the internet. And get this, each video is an hour in length. Well, if this is so, the big mystery here is how was he able to play so much of it that was unraveled like all the others? How did it survive? Lights dim on the reporter. Lights come up on Drew and Rachel. Drew says, she's asking how did it survive? Why couldn't that litter bug have stopped his car and instead of unraveling, just placed it on the ground? Rachel says, who cares? Brian Aaron is an idiot. A vain, narcissistic, attention-grabbing fool after all. Then Drew says, because... Then Rachel says, he was probably hoping none of it survived to be played, and was just hoping he'd be the next Christo as the results of only a foot of it surviving. Yeah. He was probably hoping none of it survived to be played, and was just hoping he'd be the next Christo as the result of only a foot of it surviving and showing his mediocre cracker face. Drew says, don't remind me of my embarrassing garage band, please. Rachel then says, that is probably what he was planning, but it looks like a lot of people did do what we, and even probably Aaron, thought was the impossible. They not only went over to the coastal highway, they took the stuff home, spliced it, and taped and played it. Can you imagine that? It just seems to go against all human reasoning and psychology that anyone would do such a thing. Venturi says, he just got lucky that the stuff that so far did survive shows him as kind of outside the box genius type. But he just got lucky that the stuff that so far did survive shows him as some kind of outside the box genius type. All the other videos that got crushed on the coastal highway probably had him picking his nose and eating it, worrying about going bald and whatnot. And Rachel says, people were just reading into things, and he's not a genius. He's not. He's like that idiot in that movie Being There, that Chauncey Gardner. He's Chauncey Gardner, created from the mind of a novelist who killed himself. People are just reading into things, pure and simple. And he says, well, we can't blame him for that. Rachel says, that's for sure. Drew, face it, you're disappointed, Aaron. You wanted him to do something. You wanted to be something more, didn't you? Rachel looking down sadly. I did. I just wanted him to be our Messiah out of this Sharia hell. And then Drew says, well, we have a Messiah. His name is Jesus Christ. Remember that. Rachel wiping the tear from her eye. I'll try. Drew gives her a hug. Light skin. I think I'll end it here and see how far I've gotten here in this thing. Let's see here. How far? I better stop this here. You know something? I better stop this too. Yeah, I'll make a part 5 coming up.